Hi, my name is Brandt. If you're anything like me, you probably spend a considerable amount of time scrolling X, Instagram, other various social media platforms, and you may have come upon this guy. This is Bryan Johnson. Now recently, there's been a lot of discussion and debate online regarding Bryan Johnson. Despite his seemingly well-meaning message, Johnson has found himself at the center of controversy, and not just in the world of health and wellness. Political pundits like Bill Maher, Tucker Carlson, and even Nick Fuentes have interacted with him in some way. He's even gone on shows like Piers Morgan to defend his belief system and ideology. But what is his belief system? Bryan Johnson wants to live forever, but not in the way you might think. He's not uploading his consciousness to the cloud, at least not yet. He's got a different way of going about it, with strict discipline, science, and a $2 million a year anti-aging routine. Behind the headlines and the memes about becoming 18 again, there may be something there, something revolutionary. Because what Bryan Johnson isn't selling is youth. He's selling order, discipline, and possibly even a new way to look at faith. Now, some of you might be asking, who is Bryan Johnson? Bryan Johnson is a Silicon Valley millionaire who sold his company Braintree to PayPal for $800 million. Since then, he's dedicated his life to one mission: don't die. And it's not just a motto, that's the name of his movement. He calls it Blueprint. It's a data-driven lifestyle designed to measure every single input into your body. From sleep health to gut bacteria to food intake, if it can be measured, he's probably doing it. Okay, but what are Johnson's methods? Well, to some people, they can seem a bit extreme. Waking up at 4:30 a.m. every day, taking over 100 supplements a day, eating the exact same meal, swapping plasma with his son, and going to bed at 8:30 p.m. every night, no exceptions. But beneath his eccentricity, I think there's something powerful, especially his focus on sleep, in a way that no other health guru does. Johnson claims sleep is his new religion, and that everything else crumbles if sleep isn't sacred. And he's probably right. Data shows that sleep can affect metabolism, mental health, disease prevention. Johnson treats his sleep like a holy ritual, with no caffeine after 9 a.m., and his bedtime is a schedule. In an age of distraction and artificial light, I would argue that Johnson's sleep routine is radically countercultural. Now, of course, because he fits certain parameters like Silicon Valley millionaire attempting to start a cult with eccentric personality and practices, some people have tried to lump him in with other similar individuals like Peter Thiel or the rest of the biohacking crowd. And yes, even I can admit, on the surface there are some similarities. They're rich, they're tech obsessed, they don't want to age, and many of them are trying to start new religions, countries, or cults. But here's where Johnson diverges. Don't Die doesn't ask you to believe in a techno-utopia that you've heard from so many other of these personalities. It asks you to respect the body, practice discipline, and listen to data over impulse. And unlike a lot of the other ideologies we've seen come out of Silicon Valley, Johnson's blueprint can coexist with Christianity, conservatism, or any other value system that puts stewardship, health, and the sanctity of life first. In fact, I would argue that many of his principles, order, discipline, self-control, are extremely in line with the traditional values that many of us favor. At its core, I don't see his ideology as transhumanism. If anything, it's more like temple maintenance. Now, of course, not everyone's on board. Johnson has received criticism from both sides of the aisle, but behind the headlines and the alarmism, Johnson is often rational and approachable. He's even offered skepticism of the COVID vaccine, which has drawn criticism in mainstream health circles.
It was going to get me. It never did until I got the vaccine, and then I got it 3 weeks later. I'm not anti-vax. I'm just saying I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all, as many people have that point of view, and some people don't, and we can be reasonable and talk about that. But there are pathogens where I would fight you for the vaccine. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I am a proponent of vaccines generally. I'm glad that vaccines...
What about the COVID one? You got it?
I did, but I regret getting it.
Yeah, me too. Exactly.
Yeah,
I got it because I had to continue my life.
Yeah.
And I do not like being coerced like that.
Yeah, I guess it was complicated because the government's role is to share data. It's not to sway your opinion. And in that
Preach,
moment,
brother.
they were swaying opinion and not providing data.
And squelching opinion.
Yeah.
Not swaying is one thing. I'm okay with swaying. I sway here a lot. I sway both ways on a good night, but not squelching. This is exactly what Zuckerberg
Was just talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Revealing what happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
All the maneuvering and the cover up.
I think his quote was they were screaming at us, or calling up and screaming at us to take off stuff that was provably true.
Yeah.
That's. I need a drink.
Yeah.
Now, some people think he's too eccentric, some people think he's building a cult, and maybe he is, but it's a cult of life in a culture of decay. Now, what if Don't Die isn't just a meme, but Johnson's ideology is a roadmap to real and lasting health impacts and changes? Bryan Johnson may not have found the fountain of youth, but he's found something maybe just as good. A way of living that challenges chaos, offers consistency, and treats health not as a luxury, but as a duty. In this age of nihilism, maybe Don't Die is the rebellion we need.